he would take me into the restroom and he'd pick me up by my ears. We'd go downstairs and he has it set up just like y'all got it set up. It just almost hits me with the whole Epstein thing. I remember my cousin Tahisha, she would line us up like a little choir and just we'd always sing and just that was our safe place.
All right, guys, welcome to episode 5 of Voices. I'm your host, Kerry Hayes, and here today we're with Felipe Alaniz. He's a mighty man of God, a father, great friend. The guy's got an amazing story to tell. I'm going to just go ahead and introduce y'all to him right now. Felipe, how you doing, man?
Thank you, brother. How you doing?
Have you on the pod, bro?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It's an honor, I would have to say. First and foremost, the minute you texted me and told me, hey, come and tell your story, man, I felt blessed. I felt alive almost in a sense because you finally get a platform, to hear exactly what this podcast's name is, Voices, right?
Yeah. Bet.
And so I know we all got crazy backgrounds, we all have places and moments where we've come from, I was born in Sunnyside, Washington. My mom soon after that moved to California. Beforehand, just a little backstory for her. Family came from Texas. My grandma came in the 50s. She married her first husband, which is my grandfather, Ramon Alaniz. He was originally from Spain. Joined the Vietnam War, and came back obviously with
PTSD.
PTSD.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't a good relationship. I would have to say he spent a lot of time out of the house from the stories that I gather. And then soon after, my grandma ends up divorcing him. He moves to Texas. And then my grandma remarries my younger aunt and uncle's father. And I think that's where it all started, for my mom and her journey. It was sexual abuse. I think he even got all the way down to my oldest brother, unfortunately. And so it made my mom, it made all my aunts actually act out, want to be around off from the house. We're talking, my mom was born in 55, so she was a part of the 70s, 80s,
Yeah.
And first husband doesn't help that he's a part of the cartel. She gets pregnant, 14, has my oldest sister and my brother that's a year and a half younger than her. And obviously not a good marriage, being married to somebody like that, right?
Right.
And so he ends up getting in a bad deal. Ends up getting strapped up to a chair and getting overdosed with heroin.
This is the dude that was part of the cartel?
Exactly.
Your mom's
My
first
mom's
husband?
first husband, yes.
Okay, cool. I'm just making sure I'm tracking. This is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, and so she actually got indebted, and that's how my mom ends up getting into to the game. So she has them two. She marries her second husband, which is my brother Albert's dad. he was a little bit better. You know what I mean? As far as like they have a big family out there in Seattle. Um, they're known for boxing. They trained with the Mayweathers. You know what I mean? So my brother is like 3-time Golden Glove out there in Seattle, just a monster, right? Yeah. So um she ends up marrying him, having a kid with him. That relationship don't last too long. Uh and then she's just out in the world, I guess, and then finally meets my dad out there in California, moves him over here to Washington. They end up having me, and then they end up going back to California. In the midst of all that, my mom is, like I said, still indebted to the cartel. So she picked up right where her first husband left off, and the whole time she was in Seattle doing the boxing thing to moving back to California, meeting my dad, coming back to Washington, going back to California. You know, she was doing her thing the whole time. And we finally get to California. Um, and that's when everything happened. It's 91. Um, literally can remember like yesterday, like it just happened. It's like a movie, you know, all those drug movies that you see, you know, boom, knock down the door, feds are in there. I'm 5, my little brother's 4, my sister's 6. My oldest sister's 21, 20, and 18. And they were all mixed in it. You know what I mean? My mom obviously took the rap for everything. And my sisters and my brothers got, you know, didn't get no charges or whatnot. But them getting thrown on the ground, my sister's pregnant with her second daughter, you know, guns getting pointed at, you know, low key, even remember the informant. I will never forget the man's face because he used to show me magic tricks with cards, and he was the same guy that took us to CPS. So, um, so us 3 younger ones end up going to CPS. Um, 91, we're in California. I mean, you can just imagine how it is out there at that point in time in culture.
In
I
the
mean, we
90s.
just, yeah, we
Yeah.
just got done with the riots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Crack
And
is
so
booming
it's
still.
booming. I
Yeah.
mean, this is it's just mayhem. It's crazy. Not that it's not crazy now, but I mean, it was a different
It was
era
it
then.
was something we'd never seen before, right?
No.
Yeah.
Almost like now when we're seeing the fentanyl.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And so
Yeah.
it was just so crazy that my mom and my 3 older siblings were all caught up in it. You know, I remember waking up in the middle of the night because our bunk beds were in the living room of this 3-bedroom apartment. You feel me? And just watching what they were doing. You know, doing coke, playing cards. You know, it was that lifestyle. You know, both of
Yeah.
my brothers, my oldest brother Paul, he's a norteño. You know, from Fresno. And my older brother is SSL right here from Seattle. And so they didn't even really get along. You feel me?
Yeah.
It was mayhem in the house just with them two. You feel me? And so 91 comes around, and my mom gets popped. Like I said, the informant gets her, and basically gives her 10 years. We go to CPS, go to a foster home for probably like a year and a half. And man, I just remember one crazy story being there. They were trying to separate my sister from us, and the things that people do to other people is nuts. Sticking her in a kennel, you know what I mean? So just going through that for the year and a half. Remember distinctively the CPS lady taking us to go see my mom for the first time behind bars. I remember distinctively because she was wearing a Ben Davis outfit. I remember that little gorilla.
Yeah, for anybody that doesn't,
Never forget it, bro. It's crazy. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Crazy. And so we're in there for the year and a half. My dad finally, I guess, musters up enough to come get us. He ends up getting us out. And basically dumps us off to my older sister. He keeps my younger brother, and don't talk to him for like 23 years. I didn't get a hold of him until 2013. But we get separated. We stay with my sister for a little bit. She's still fighting the addiction. So, she got 2 kids of her own. She got a little brother and a little sister, right? 90 still. No kind of skill, but to hustle, right? And so it was a tough upbringing. I remember one time, I hate peas, bro. She used to make me sit there, bro, and literally eat them. And I would one by one, bro, because I couldn't do it. But we was
you ever seen Crooklyn?
Huh?
Remember that movie Crooklyn?
Yeah.
When the little boy, he was like trying to eat his black eyed peas, he's like throwing up on the plate, and then he's like, they're starving him till he eats the black eyed peas. It's like days going by, and it's these little pukey black eyed peas. Every time he sits down for dinner, they're like, "Oh, you're not having this dinner. You're having this dinner." You know what I'm saying? And finally, he has to eat them.
we was poor. We was going to the food bank. You know what I mean? We had, sometimes that's all you had. You know what I mean? With some vegetables. So, and then it was just home to home after that. We end up going with my aunt and my uncle. My Aunt Diana is my mom's youngest sister, same mom, same dad. She's not 100. She got into a really bad motorcycle accident when she was like 16. And so she just never been right in the head ever since. So they used to call her the loquera when she was younger, you know what I mean? Out there in the streets, because she was just no joke.
What's that translate to?
La loquera, the pretty much like lokester.
Oh, okay.
La loquera, but it's more like for a girl, how you say it for a girl.
Yeah.
A guy would say lokester. I'm a lokester, Yeah. I don't know how you would translate that for a female, but
basically like she's with the business.
She's with the business, yeah. Distinctive story my dad told me about her pulling out a gun on him. Like, ever hit my sister again.
Yeah, and like prepared to use it.
And so for me moving to my aunt's house, that's where I feel like my story really begins of who I am today. Had the most life-changing experience living with her. For the first time, that was my first time ever seeing racism, because my aunt's 2 older daughter and son were half black, half Mexican. and her second husband that she married was Mexican, straight from Mexico. And at first, I kind of really didn't notice. You know what I mean? I kind of just thought, my cousin Tahisha would just act out sometimes, but then over the course of me living there, I could kind of tell that there was a difference on how he would treat them. Yeah, and so we literally went to church 6 days out of the week. There were, I can't recall exactly what cult they were a part of, but it was just mad crazy how we got treated. And mind you, I'm probably like 6, almost 7 at this time. And I just remember sometimes falling asleep during service, and he would just pinch the daylights out of me to where where you'd wake up like, oh, like, let me stand at attention, or he would take me into the restroom and he'd pick me up by my ears. You better stay awake and listen, like, why ain't you listening? Why ain't you staying awake? And so it was a lot of that. I was probably like 6, almost 7. So it was just one bad thing after another, My mom's getting popped, I'm not finding a lot of this information out until I moved to my grandma's house. So a lot of this is still unbeknownst to me. I'm in the dark with everything. Obviously, as it should be, a little 6-year-old boy shouldn't know all this information, right? And so it was getting crazy to where my cousin Tahisha was starting to pull out knives and, like, defend herself, It was so strict there that I went from being a little 5-year-old boy. I remember waking up and watching cartoons. That's when G.I. Joe's was cracking and Transformers, Darkwing Duck and all that. You know what I mean? So yeah, so we go from that to not having nothing. We was fighting over a radio every night. You feel me? Just so because my cousin Freddie and my cousin Tahisha were older. They're already teenagers. So, they was fighting over that. They was trying to hear something, you know what I mean? And I just remember, those little incidents where you just had to really use your imagination as a kid because of all the abuse that we were going through. I remember my cousin Tahisha, she gave me such a love and passion for music. I love music. And she would line us up like a little choir and we'd always sing and just, that was our safe place, so to speak, to get away from everything that I was seeing them go through. And then just what ends up happening to me. I end up getting real close with the pastor's son. And I start spending the night at their house and stuff. And I remember just waking up because I felt like somebody like tugging on me, and he gets me up and he's like, "Oh, come with me. We got to go downstairs." And I'm just like, kind of like waking up, like, what are you talking about? We go downstairs and he has it set up just like y'all got it set up. And I just don't understand how someone could manipulate a woman to be involved. It just almost hits me with the whole Epstein thing, how his wife was, and it's just so mind-boggling that a woman, and I'm not trying to get too explicit with it, you know what I mean? But it, you could just imagine, like I said, they had it set up down there. So I endured and seen things and had to do things that no normal 6 or 7 year old little boy should ever have to do. It it took me 38 years to finally tell somebody. Nah, it's you got to get it out. You know what I mean? Somebody got to hear this. And before I never understood it, when I went to my therapist, I was asking him like, "Nah, like I want justice, This dude needs to be found. I want to know. I want to know that he gets handled." And just like I was telling you guys right before we started, I was using that as a domino effect. So everything later on that happened in my life, it was just a turn back of what happened to me when I was younger. You know, it made me be afraid to have a relationship for some reason, because I didn't think man or woman would understand what I was going through. Growing up, I eventually end up, because of all the abuse, we end up moving to they don't ever find out I'm getting abused. I don't tell nobody. Um, but since my cousin was acting out so much, you know what I mean? And then I think I started kind of acting out a little bit. My sister did. And so my aunt was like, we just gonna ship you guys to Washington. We end up going with my mom's second to youngest sister, my aunt Tina in Kennewick, get shipped over there. Um, she's a smart lady. She's always, from what I've understood and what I know now, she's always been on her Q's and P's with as far as like working. And so she was set. She got a house. She got a hut, my Uncle Mario, which has been more of an uncle to me than even my own aunt, right? And so we moved there. Um, really no abuse. My aunt is kind of strict and reluctant on the church thing and stuff too. So um, we stay there for a while. I don't know why we end up leaving and going to my Uncle Ralph's, which lives in Kennewick too. Love it there because he got two boys and my cousin Savannah. So it was more of I could relate because I got cousins now my age and always wrestling with my boy with my cousins and even my aunt. My aunt is real tough. She's a trucker type lady, so she's tough. She comes from 12 boys. You know what I mean? My uncle's wife. And so, she just kind of taught me how to be kind of tough, because she was always tough with me. And like again, like I said, I don't know why we end up leaving there to go to my grandma's house. And that's how I end up back in Sunnyside. And I think my grandma noticed something about me, so she immediately put me in counseling. I still didn't tell nobody. Miss Ignigas, God bless you if you ever hear this. uh, it's crazy. She was such a wonderful woman, like a mom almost. She was real nurturing, uh, and how she did her job. I felt like she went above and beyond. So, and then like I don't think I've ever had the best of luck. When I think about it now, I feel like I've been so blessed because even though I've been through the depths, God has managed to always put somebody there. So Sixth grade teacher, Miss Sarton. If you out there ever hear this, I love you too. Thank you. Um, Mr. Caballero, my sixth grade teacher, now is a principal. I think I want to say in Yakima at Eisenhower or West Valley. Anyways, tremendous man. Miss Sarton, um, my fifth grade teacher, she was just awesome. Like I said, like God just his divine timing and power, just something I never understood until now. You know, it's real crazy. But I always used to have two elder brothers that lived obviously in the area, Mormons, and Miss Sarton was a Mormon. My my oldest uncle's ex-wife lived in Sunnyside still with my cousin Santos and my cousin Gabby, and she really cleaned on to me and my sister, having us just always over there, and she was a part of the Mormon church. So I kind of never really believed in the Book of Mormon or nothing like that. I think my thing was just my connection, how they connected with me. Always came through, helped me with my homework. Yeah, no. And so I built a relationship, and then it just the access of my fifth grade teacher going there, her nurturing me because I didn't have my mom, my aunt, my tia Rosa, another mom trying to nurture me, right? My mom's best friend went to church there. And so it made it convenient. My mom was against it, totally against it. My 13th birthday rolls around, and my best friend, who I met in third grade, Juan Perez, Nora Gonzalez, and Robert Gonzalez. I love you guys. Um, they took me in too at one point, and just she ends up coming to eat with us one time. And just like any mom, she gonna ask plenty of questions. So she's like, "Oh, who are you? What's your name?" Starts kind of getting to know who my family was, and she's like, "Oh, I'm your Aunt Jennifer, one of your Aunt Jennifer's best friends."
Oh, crazy.
And so she takes me in. God always finds a way, right?
Yeah.
And so she takes me in. I end up becoming her son's best friend, and like a son. They end up throwing my 13th birthday, and as soon as I get in there, the party hasn't started. She's like, "Oh, come sit down." I sit down in the living room, and they give me a present, and I'm like, "Oh, tight, get to open something before everybody gets here. Dope."
Yeah.
And so I grab it. I'm like, all shocked, like, and she's like, "Open it." And I was like, "Shh, open it," excited. And it's a bunch of papers. So I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, read them." And then I started reading it, and they were adoption papers.
Oh,
So
man.
you could just know that I was on 100 right there. Like, what? Like, my mind started racing, like, "Oh, I'm gonna have a room with Juan, and I'm, this, that, the third. My life is changing. I'm gonna have a family. Everything's good." Like, God, I'm not even thanking God because I'm not really having a relationship with him yet. And so my mom calls me there from prison,
Yeah.
and she's super excited to talk to me. "Oh, mijo, I love you. Happy birthday." I already had she had somebody do a sick portrait of, I think, like Mickey Mouse or something, and sent it to me. So I already had gotten what she sent me, and I told her excited, "Oh yeah, I got your card. It was beautiful. Thank you. I love you." And I'm so excited about the news, and I don't realize this until I become a father, how devastating it must have felt for her, but how happy I was to feel accepted from somebody. And so I'm 13, excited, like, hey, mom, like, these people want to adopt me. I'm going to be happy. I got a family. I got a brother. And it didn't strike me then like it strikes me now. And I'm like, like, I think about it now, like, dang, how devastating did my mom have to feel behind bars to have to hear that from her own son. So I think that's where my understanding for things really became really clear for me. I knew that I could understand a lot more than a lot of people, normal people at least, because that's just crazy, you know, to hear it, to feel it, to know it, you know. And she told me no, as she should, as any rightful, God-fearing, loving mother should, right? But I didn't understand it. I didn't want to understand it. I was like, what? Like, you don't want me to be happy? What do you mean? Like, no. And so I was devastated. I think that's when I really started to rebel and really like start to try to figure things out. You know, my memories started coming back. I started having dreams and nightmares of what this man used to make me do, what he used to make his own kids do. It was nuts, nuts. And so it all, like I said, it all trickles back. That domino effect starts to happen again. And I start to resent. I'm hateful now. Like, what do you mean? Like, I just hung up. Like,
How much time did she have left?
That's what I was
at
thinking
that
too.
point, she had 2 more years left. So she was already coming home. And I just couldn't understand that. So
Yeah,
I'm
so
like,
but what adults uh neglect to think about is the perspective. So like when you're an adult, you're a fully formed adult already. 2 years to you is a small portion of your life. When you're a child still, 2 years is like an eternity. You know what I mean? So like when my son is like, why are these days so long, Dad? I'm like, because man, 2 hours of your life is a big chunk. You're only 8. You know what I'm saying? I'm 39. 2 hours is like 2 minutes to
let's
me.
go. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And so that's when I decided to get baptized as a Mormon. I'm like, all right, you don't want to let me get, adopted, then I'm gonna do what you don't want me to do. I'm gonna become a Mormon. So I end up getting baptized as a Mormon. Still never believed in we would have debates in my grandma's basement with these elders. With me and the elders, we would go at it because I couldn't believe it. I don't know why. Correction, I do know why. Because God wouldn't allow it. That's why.
Yeah.
There's only one book, and it's His book.
Yeah. He
right?
had
no
plans
book,
for
right?
you.
That's why. So yeah. So you already know. What I will say is they're super whatever they however they structure whatever they do is crazy because they're on with their people. I'm not gonna lie. And so I think that's why it makes it more subjectable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she, denies it. I do that. And I really still don't really put everything together yet. She gets out and it's crazy because I'm cooking in the kitchen. She gets out and supposedly she got to stay in California because of the whole DOC, you know what I mean, parole type thing. So she had to stay over there for a second. So I didn't think she was coming for a little bit. Well, she surprised us and she came. They ended up letting her come. And I'm in the kitchen cooking and I hear the knock at the door and my grandma's in her room like, answer the door. So I go right there, answer the door. And I see this short little lady, and for some reason in my head, I'm like, dang, this lady looks super familiar. You know what I mean? And she's looking at me like, why aren't you more surprised? You know, and I'm just kind of looking at her like, and she's like, it's me, mijo. And then right when she said that, I was like, what? And so I'm just kind of like baffled. And my first thing that I tell her is, I thought you were taller. Right? But it's not that. It's that little boy still thinking, that little 5-year-old boy that
when you were looking up at her, now you're like eye to eye,
now,
or you're taller than her now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So my mom's 5'1".
Crazy.
You know what I mean? So I'm looking at this little lady and she's just like, oh, and you know, and we, you know, it still takes a little bit for me because my grandma has groomed me so good. You know what I mean? Iron, cook, wash my clothes, everything, you know, and it's funny, cause she always used to tell me, why she was teaching me these things.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she was, a fortune teller or she could predict the future, but she was like, I'm teaching you these things not just for your own benefit, but just in case you ever have a wife that can't do this for your children, know that you're going to be able to do this for your children and teach them what I'm teaching you. And so that always echoed in my ear, you know. For some reason, when I moved there, my fascination with life really came alive. I think that's when I used my imagination. Like, it's so crazy that I told my 10-year-old son and his friends on his sister's birthday, I was like, we were getting ready to go to Chuck E. Cheese. And I was like, just go outside for a second, go play, and we're leaving a second. He was like, it's boring out there. I'm like, well, use your imagination. And he was like, what's that? So living at my grandma's house, you know, she had like 2 acres. So me and my little brother Gabriel, you know, we was just living. I remember just always. You remember that show Gladiators that they used to show where they would have like those obstacle courses?
Yeah. American Gladiator.
American Gladiators. Yeah. Tell me why I would literally set up around my whole grandma's house because my grandma had like old stuff, and I would just literally like try to build the course.
Yeah.
And I'd make my brother run through it, and I'd get tennis balls and be like, "You gotta reach me," you know. And so. It was live. I loved living with my grandma, you know. It was a beautiful thing. Rest in peace. You know, she's been gone now 16 years, but it doesn't feel like she's been gone that long because I think those voices still echo in my head all the time.
Yeah.
And so we end up, my mom, you know, she wants to be a mom now. You know what I mean? She finally cleaned up her act. She was working for OIC, which is a huge organization that basically helps the less fortunate, you know, basically anyone from ethnicity, or it doesn't matter what background you are, but, you know, their main focus was there. My mom was a program coordinator for them. So despite her having all these issues with drugs and selling, she was a she graduated, A student, you know what I mean? So it just baffled me why she took the latter route, you know what I mean? Instead of going and doing the right thing. And because she's intelligent, that was probably the best I've ever seen. It was beautiful to see as a young boy, because I was so young, yearning for that. And so watching her give all her speeches and um asking these billionaires for money, you know what I mean? And she's coordinating these programs. She had an ESL program in Sunnyside. She had a gang prevention program in Sunnyside. She had a teen pregnancy program in Sunnyside. She was the first Mexican Latina lady to make a youth coalition in Sunnyside. It's still there now, getting funded for kids. You know what I mean? So the the amount of effects that she could have had if she would have just did this when she was younger, And so, I remember marching in the Si Se Puede campaign. I don't know if you guys had it out here in Spokane, but it was super in Yakima Valley, in Sunnyside, and Pasco. And so I just remember, and it was all over the world. There was a lot of Puerto Ricans and everybody, New York, Florida. You know what I mean? It was all over the news. And I was a part of it. My mom was a part of it. I remember being a part of a board, because we used to have a thing called night options in Sunnyside, where they would hire a DJ, Rick Garza, shout out to you. He would come, invest his time. They would open up the school. We would have obviously a dance. They'd open up the gym. We could hoop every Friday. Cost $1 to get in. I was always pumped to go. And so I thought that I was gonna graduate from this place. I thought I was gonna see it to the end with the friends I grew up with. My sister started getting in a lot of trouble though. And so it forced us to move to Tri-Cities, and I was devastated. I was so devastated. Like, I was like, what? Like, I really was like, hope and want, you know what I mean? My best friend's mom, I was telling them, and there was really nothing nobody could do. My mom's out. I ain't got no choice. She's not letting me stay with my grandma. We gotta go. So we pack up, we go. And that's when I really, Tri-Cities was the gateway to me finding out the truth about what my mom really was doing back then and how she was doing it. I started kicking it with the wrong people. One of my good friend, Dean Cobray's older brother. My mom always let me drive at a young age. My grandma did too. So I was always mobbing. Seen him walking, picked him up, gave him a ride. He's like, "Well, what's up, little G?" You know what I mean? I'm like, "Oh, just chilling. What's good? Where you want me to take you or what?" He's like, "Oh, you could take me up the block." And my mom has some hydros in the cup holder. And he's like, "Oh, what's up with these?" And I'm just like, I'm like 14, 15 at this time. I'm like, I don't know. What's up with them? And he's like, "How much you want for all of them?" And I was like, "I don't even know. What do you mean?" Like, he's like, "Oh, I'll give you 100 for them." And I was like, "What? For these?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Whatever." He's like, "Cool." Gave me the 100, dropped them off. And then he was like, what you be doing out here, Flip?" And I'm like, "Nothing, just school, chilling." He was like, "Come by tomorrow. Come by in the morning." And I was like, "All right." It was the weekend. Shot over there. And that's when I got introduced to coke for the first time. Boom. He comes in. He's already gacked out. Already. Soon as he's up, like, "Come in, hurry up." I get in there. I'm like, what the hell? And he got their house is set up where they got 2 living rooms. So we go to the very back, and he got a whole plate just lined up, ready. And I'm like, what did I get myself into? And he's like, yeah, I'm about to introduce you, you about to be my new little homie on the block. And I'm just like, what do you mean? He's like, you want to make some money, don't you? And I was like, I mean, I don't know, like, what do you mean? And he's just like, do you want to make some money or not? And I'm like, I do, He's like, you see how many J's I got? You see my whip? You see what's up? And I'm like, yeah, I do. He's like, all right, I'm going to put you on. And I'm like, all right. And so he's basically coked out, walking around, and he's like, get in there. And I'm like, he wants me to do it too? And I'm just like, oh man. So I'm like bracing myself, like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Because I remember when I was in Sunnyside, I'm in there like, I ain't never going to do drugs ever. Like, they were showing us all these things, and I'm like, I ain't doing it. And so every time, because he was walking back and forth, so every time he wasn't looking, I was just
sweeping it on the floor.
right, because I wasn't trying to do it.
Yeah.
And so it goes from chilling in the car with him and serving foods up to like a month down the road, he's talking about, you ready for the next level? And I'm like, what you talking? He's like, the next level. He's like, you thought you was just going to be riding around with me all day, chilling, smoking, drinking? Nah, you got to put in your work, homie. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah. He's like, it's cool though. I'm going to put you with my little cousin, which is turns out to be one of my best friends still to this day. And takes me to the spot. He's like, I'm going to take you to the spot.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's that? He's like, you finna find out. Like I said, this is the next level.
Yeah.
He's like, now you'll really start making some paper.
See, this is where we overlap because I know
You do?
I didn't realize you did too.
Wow.
Yeah.
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 So listen, crazy, right?
Yeah.
How God lines things up. This is just confirmation right here, right? So I link up with bro.
Mm-hmm.
And he puts us on. We got, I ain't gonna say no names, you know what I mean? But the Mexican homie, we had the plug. We was getting zips as low as like 200. I think we was paying like 14 for the bird.
Yeah.
Come on. We was eating. It was crazy, right? So he puts me in there with, and it's crazy, bro. We are serving up all people, his aunt, his mom, and I think like 3 or 4 of their cousins. And where it puts your mind is just crazy, because you got your best friend that turns into being one of my best friends serving his own mother.
Yeah. I've seen it.
You know what I mean? And so we're sitting there, one hand on my dope, one hand on my money. Hey, what's up? Oh, let me get 100. And then depending on what time of the night it was, I wasn't accepting nothing less than 100 if you waking me up. You know what I mean? Like, oh, nah, it's 100 or more. All right, I'm going to come right back. Not even 5 minutes later, and let me get that. Shh. I think one of my craziest stories hustling, I'll tell you 2 of them real quick. One of them was he tried to tell me I gave him some bad dope. So he tried to come back and I don't know why and them wasn't really backing me, but he was kind of like trying to punk me, like, nah, you gonna give me some more. And I'm like, nah,
because
man.
everybody wants to be a dope dealer till you get dope dealer problems.
Nah. Exactly, right? So I'm like, nah, and I'm looking at and his mom like, oh, what up, you know?
Yeah.
But I think they was just testing me, you know what I mean? Just to see what I was gonna do, see if I was gonna break and give them some more or not. And I'm like, nah, man, you ain't getting nothing. If it wasn't no good, you should have smoked one and brought it back. Don't try to play me.
Yeah, don't
right
do
now.
it all and then try to be like
and then
it was
try to
bunk.
tell me you got something out of it. So we ain't doing that, right?
Yeah.
And then another time, and these are, I guess, just tricks of the trade, right?
Yeah.
or as you would say. And so I end up fronting a customer, right?
As you never do.
As you never do. And they never paid me, right? She tried
as
to come,
they always
as
do.
they never do. And so they try to come back as they usually do,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I give her some cashews.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Don't see her for like a month. And then we pull up. One of my older homies' brothers, but he don't really know who I am at this point because I'm still like a youngster, right? And so we pull up and her name's, never forget it. It's funny. And she was like, you done sold me some cashews, Flip.
Hey, was she a white girl?
Nah, she was black.
Okay.
You would know her because she had gotten burnt on the whole side of her.
Oh, okay.
So sold me some cashews. Mad. Right? And unfortunately, the homie's older brother was strung out a little bit at that time too. So, you know, as a cousin, he gonna come out like, oh, this is the dude. Did you like that?
Yeah.
So he puts me in a chokehold. I'm like, and I'm looking at the homies like in that same situation. They looking at you like, what you finna do?
Yeah.
So I just had purchased a cool little 25 pearl pink candle.
Mm.
And I was like, thought I was the man with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, bro, you got like 2 seconds to let me go. And he's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, let me go. He's like, I ain't letting you go until you give us what you owe us. And I'm like, man, I don't owe you nothing.
Yeah.
This is between me and her. And ask her what she did first. I ain't got to explain nothing to you. Let me go. He didn't want to let me go. So I just, what's up? We doing something or we doing something? You know? My homies, oh, nah. Cause, you know? And then.
Yeah, because everybody wants to be a dope dealer till there's dope dealer problems.
Exactly. So now, I mean, it wasn't until about a 16-man raid happened to about 16 of my homies right there in Tri-Cities. And then that's when I knew it was real. Like they knew everybody, obviously, and I'm lucky. No, God blessed me, right? Because I could have been in there. I was messing with every single one of the informants they was messing with or whoever, you know what I mean? So I was in all that mix. So I count my lucky stars or my blessings really because I didn't get caught up in it. And so that was my little turning point of why I was gonna stop selling dope.
Yeah.
But it still, God still wasn't resonating. I always had one foot in and one foot out. Like my mom would always tell me, like, you can't, you know, tell God you're going to do something, but you're still out here. But I thought I could. I thought I could manage it all. I was literally working nights, work Friday night, into Saturday morning, smoke, go hoop.
Did it die?
And that's super crazy that you said that about, because I forgot me and them. Yeah. And I wouldn't even doubt that you know my oldest daughter's people that is out there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All them people, yeah, they didn't like me.
Yeah. So
No, we're cool.
Did
We're
you
cool
know
now.
like, and they was a little younger.
Maybe, I don't know. You and I are like the same age, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, yeah. So stopped, and then I just felt like I could juggle it all.
yeah,
I stopped selling dope, and my boy that I met in Yakima ended up finding a mean plug on weed and shit. So he just had it. He was literally dropping at least like 20 of them off to me, and like, just hit me when you want, hit me when you can,
yeah,
basically, and just dumping them off to me. So I was just like, we back in business, and just started doing my thing, still working, hustling, and still trying to go to church at the same time. So like I said, I was going to work Friday night into Saturday morning,
yeah.
not sleeping, mind you,
Mm-hmm.
go hoop, smoke, go to the mall, buy some clothes, because obviously we finna go out on Saturday. That was
Yeah.
my mentality at that time.
Of
I'm
course,
finna
yeah.
go out on Saturday. All this hard work and hustling, I was like, yeah, I deserve this.
Right.
That facade, that appeal, like, it just appealed to me. I loved the big lights and flashy cars. I was driving a 86 Caprice Classic, Broham.
Probably Dayton's and
Date,
all that.
come
Yeah.
on, Beats, everything, right?
Yeah.
So go kick it. And I would always make it a point not to kick it past the club. So because I was already out all Saturday day, and I was like, I gotta have a cutting point because I'm trying to go to church in the morning. So I would literally cut myself off 2:00. Club's over, party's over. I'm out. I'm back to the house. Waking up my mom and my little brother, like, hey, wake up. Come on, we gotta go to church. Go to church.
Yeah.
Breath still stinking from the night before. Hollering out every girl that I could while I was there.
Yeah.
But still thinking that if I went to church that morning, that I could be saved from everything that I had going on. I pay my tithes, right? No, this is really how I thought, though. It was crazy.
A lot of people do.
I'm like, it's cool because I'm paying my tithes. So God knows, this is how I literally used to tell this to myself. God's looking out, because if he wasn't, I would have got caught already. He's letting this happen because he knows I got to pay these bills.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the feds are also letting it happen because they're building a case.
Come on. But it's that life, it's that culture that you get drawn into. And now it was all making sense to me, what my mom, what my brothers and them were doing. So I'm like, okay, well, if I'm just a little bit different from them, I can make it big.
Yeah.
If I just work, right, which none of them really did. If I hustled and I paid my due diligence to God every Sunday and paid my tithes, I'm good.
Yep.
And it was good for a minute. Until, how does that saying go?
Until you got some drug dealer problems.
Until you got some drug dealer problems, right?
All right, so we are under time constraints, but we're gonna do a part 2. I just want to say that I know things got a little emotional for a minute, but I want to commend you for telling that story and those stories. I feel like I can really identify with you on a lot of levels, where like it seems like we got a lot of overlap. Where like, I was born in the 80s, you were born in the 80s. I remember my mom and dad were. I remember seeing pictures of them like going to church and being like churchy looking people, right? And as a kid thinking like, what happened? And it's like, as kids, we become casualties of war, and
Man.
it's almost like our parents, they see themselves as like having to hustle and having to live that lifestyle. They just got to get the money. So we get neglected, and that neglect makes us more susceptible to abuse, so it also makes us sort of collect father figures and collect mother figures, throughout our lives. And yeah, we become very, I don't want to say naive, but we're really looking for acceptance, right? And so we're willing to deal with the bad as long as we can feel accepted or part of something. You know what I mean? But I'm really glad that you found your way back to Jesus that we're able to have this conversation right now, man. I see you with your daughter, and I can tell you're on the same path as me and Taylor and Alex and all these other, great fathers that I know that are breaking the cycle through Jesus Christ,
Amen.
But yeah, so yeah, I hate to cut you off. We
No,
just
you're good.
we got a little time constraint. but we definitely want to have you on like often. So this segment that we do, we react to some current events, things that are happening online
Yes,
that
sir.
catch our attention. We're like, oh, okay, we need to see what's going on here, dig a little deeper. I can. Yeah. All right, let's jump into it. You know who Orlando Brown is?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I be listening to him
he's
sometimes.
already knowing.
Yeah. My boy's crazy.
Yeah.
Cause what's he from? I forgot. He had it. That's so Raven.
Yep.
That's what I thought. Major pain. Yeah.
What he's gonna say,
hmm
most people, it's gonna hit the surface of their brain and they're gonna be like, nah.
Yeah.
But really, really think about it.
Charles Manson said, I should have killed 200 million more of these motherfuckers. And then maybe it would have been a better world. It would have been a better world if he killed 200 million more of you motherfuckers, bro. Because you're sick. You're demented. You rape kids. You beat people's wives. You bomb kids. Fuck you. We not playing no games, homie. Yeah, I'm on Charles Manson's side, bitch. You do to him. Why is he demented? Understand the mind of a man. Why is he demented? Why is he... What did you do to him? Bitch, what did you do to him? What did you do to Charles Manson to make him think all this crazy shit? What did you do to him? If you broke him, you broke my dad, bitch. We're gonna find out.
Yeah, bro. So
Wow.
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 So this is gonna sound crazy.
Crazy
but,
that we talking about this right now. But go ahead.
And I kind of forgot that he threw into other bits about. But like if you know me, I'm a conspiracy guy.
Oh,
you know
me
what I'm saying?
Alex. Me and Alex. Yeah.
So Pete, like, so the people that the Manson family killed, like if you watch the documentaries about them, they were like Hollywood elites.
On it.
Hollywood elites, right?
On it.
So I never thought about this until I heard Orlando Brown say it. I never really put two and two together. Why did they target those people?
I'm gonna give you another perspective.
Yeah.
Because there's a backstory that I heard about this whole Charles Manson thing.
Yeah.
That the CIA actually hyped him into doing
MK
all this.
Ultra.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same thing with the Unabomber.
Come on. I'm such a conspiracy theorist. Like the minute internet became accessible to me, I was on it.
Yeah.
Freemasons, Bilderberg,
the entry level conspiracy theory
yeah,
stuff.
Like come on, like everything you can think of, from JFK to simple things like the Tea Party, bootlegging beer, cigarettes, from what we eat to what we drink to what we see to what we're hearing. I always tell people now that they didn't need to input a chip in us.
Right.
Everybody was the mark of the beast. Third.
Think about it. If I say water bottle, you picturing a water bottle in your head right now? By just using my words, I just printed something into your head, bro.
Come on. And what I tell people is like, you got to unplug, Neo.
Yeah.
They already did it. They didn't need to give us. They didn't need to put the chip in us.
Yeah. You're holding it.
You're holding it. This.
Like the thing is, I mean, the Bible says like you'll know you're choosing Satan. When
Yeah.
they introduce the mark, whatever it is, you'll know that you're choosing Satan.
Well, there's a reason there's an apple with a bite out of it on the device that like 90% of phone users have in their hand at all times.
Exactly.
Like when people are watching this podcast that is Christ-centered about Jesus Christ, they're literally holding the forbidden fruit in their hand.
Amen.
Yeah, because it's knowledge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, the all-seeing eye, everything. Me personally, I believe that the scrolls in the Bible are real scrolls. I do believe that. What I don't fully understand is why people don't understand and look up history just a little bit, because I know who King James was. I know that before he put these scrolls together in 1611, that he also made a book called Demonology right before that.
Really?
Which a lot of people don't know. And so, but you got to think like a king. You got to think like a tyrant would think. It's to devise a way to enslave the minds. Almost just like you see hints of it on the Book of Eli. I don't know if you ever watched that with Denzel.
Yeah.
How they use that Bible. You can literally use it. I mean, and they've been using it like that for years.
Yeah.
The Roman Catholic Church has the Vatican. They have thousands of scrolls that are unbeknownst to the world. So,
but who has the final say?
We do.
God.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately God. Yeah.
Like, I think of it like this: if any of them were going to block out the actual word of God, he'd put an end to it. You know what I mean?
And that's why he speaks of false idols and believing in false prophets, you know? And that's why I think I'm where I'm at now, because the people that I'm kicking it with, the people that I'm surrounding myself with, are those new prophets, are those new disciples, like it says in Matthew's, I believe 28, that I give all authority to you to go forth and make disciples upon all nations. So we're all, I think, prophets, and we're the next wave, you know, of defense for the world. And this is the perfect platform to introduce people to who Jesus Christ is. I feel like I'm a living testimony right now, fighting homelessness. You know, I'm being battle tested right now, because I'm gonna tell you one thing: the enemy is strong, and for one split second, I thought about going back. I thought about drinking and smoking and not giving and going back to that persona. But I knew that in that moment, I had to make a choice. Was I going to let this make me or break me? And I can't go back.
Man.
And it's that faith of a mustard seed and having good brothers in arms that are that are willing to pray for you and fight for you. If you need something, go pick you up. Yeah. Make sure that it's going to happen for you. Ask you if you need a meal. Is there something you're missing, brother? I got you. You need a ride? I got you. You know? And it feels good. It feels good for once to know that I got a family.
And you do, bro.
So,
hey, on that note, bro, this was great. A lot to unpack, bro.
Yes,
I'm really glad that you came over here today and shared that with us. Can you lead us in prayer?
Yes, sir. I certainly can. Dear Lord, Heavenly Father, I just want to give this moment to you, Lord. I want to thank you, give you praise. You know, it's the simple things I think in life that we take for granted, the fact that I got to wake up today and use this platform, use my words, use my testimony, Lord, to reach millions, Lord, because I will go forth and I will make disciples upon all nations, teaching you what you've commanded and baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Holy Spirit. Lord, I just thank you for my two brothers right here, that you use these vessels every day, Lord, to let your word be known, to let the world know that you're alive and that you're here and that you're the one to who will save one and all from death and from sin, Lord, because you gave your life already. All these burdens that I've carried, all these burdens that we've carried all our lives, Lord, are not our burdens to carry anymore. You gave your only begotten Son for all these trials and tribulations, Lord. And I just thank you. I thank you for the moments that you give me every day with these kids, every day that you give me with my brothers in this church, Lord. And I just want to bless the world, Lord, with everything that you have to give me. Use this vessel, use these vessels, Lord, use these words. And I just ask this in your mighty, mighty name, Lord, your Son's name, and in the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.